Hello, and welcome to episode 6, season 2 of the BoardRoomers. Today is a nice Thursday. It's roughly 10:29 p.m. because
Your time.
of technical difficulties, i.e., Google has moved stuff around and has utterly confused all of us.
Who do they think
I'd rather play a Reiner Knizia game than go through this again.
Wow. Whoa, those are fighting words.
Episode 6.5.
So with that said, I have sent an invite out to one of our panelists, Patrick Nickel, and evidently he is not getting them from any source, but he may pop on. So if he does, we'll jump to his invite. But until then, let's start off with the beautiful, the brunette, the bearded Spadell, Christopher.
Great.
How you doing, sir?
Doing well, and yourself?
Good. So, hey, Sentinels Tactics funded. Congratulations.
Thank you. Very exciting. We're
did that fund? Oh, did that get funded?
No, it scraped by.
Yeah, it was barely.
I was like, I pulled out. I was like, last 48 hours. I was like, whoa, I don't want this game.
But Dale actually transported that room to a new mansion. He just has the same backdrop.
Yeah, I'm just like, you know what? I need the same wall here for when I'm filming, so people don't realize that I'm actually like I'm sitting in a gold jacuzzi right now.
I believe it.
It's a jacuzzi filled with Mr. Chomps.
Yes.
So
Absolutely, it is.
But yeah. So hey, thanks for being on. And real quick, what you drinking?
I am drinking some delicious. I think it's Bowmore. It's an Islay Scotch. It's a Scotch that I had with me at PAX East.
Nice, very nice. I didn't have any.
Sure. And was like, I've got scotch and you don't.
That's exactly how that went.
New to our esteemed panel is the one and the only Dan Patrice, who everyone has heard his voice on the Geek All Stars. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. It's an honor and privilege, and for the 3 people that have actually listened to our show, thanks that you're watching us as well.
And so
Carol, it's always a pleasure to have you on our show as well.
So far, the $20 we paid you to come on is paying off. So.
And your check is in the mail right back for having me on.
So, Dan, what's coming up on the next episode?
We're going to try to get a top 11 Feld games going. We've got a couple that we've got to get played. There's a few of us that haven't played a few of them, so we're going to try to fill in some gaps so we can have a really good top 11. We're going to take some submission from the Schmoes so we can get like kind of a people's choice, Schmoes choice with it. But I'm really excited to see how it shakes out because we have a lot of diverse opinions between Adam and Tom and Matt and Chris and myself. So I have a feeling that we're going to have some of the usual suspects up top. But man, I love Feld. So
nice.
I love Feld.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of loving things, it's always the lovely Stephanie Straw. Welcome back.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for not bailing on us after the last couple episodes.
Thanks for paying me $50, which is more than what you're paying Dan. So
to be fair, though, I am getting $49 and change, right?
Wait a minute.
And some beer.
For this?
So, but hey, yeah, you're missing your Pathfinder night tonight.
I am. My Pathfinder group is texting me updates as we speak, actually.
Is it the role-playing game or the card game?
The role-playing game.
Oh, okay. All right,
You sound so disappointed. Oh, okay.
I know, like, ugh, gross.
God,
Imagination. Oh, I hate it.
So periodically through the night, are we going to hear like a text alert and then hear you roll a d20 and then just like, I rolled an 18.
I have a D20 running somewhere.
It's Pathfinder Kingmaker, so we're actually at the point where we're building up our kingdom, so not as much battle, but I think they actually are battling something right now.
Very nice.
Guys, we should seriously at some point do an episode of BoardRoomers where we like have a list of topics and we roll dice and answer topics on that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's a great idea.
And then I'll roll dice like for my answer too. Like I think that is favorable.
Beards, I
would do that for $1.
It's when Stephanie rolls a 1 and falls out of her chair.
He doesn't need a 1 for that.
No. Well, she needs 1 drink for that. So, moving on, and then last but not least, it's me. Hey, I'm Daryl Lauder. I'm your host tonight. because I really have no valuable input at all on this topic.
Yes,
Daryl,
I know I do. It was a joke. Roll with it, people. Roll with it. Stay on. Take your
Daryl. So since you asked us all questions, I'm going to ask you a question. So
Can I finish my introduction first?
no,
Okay.
He had something planned, Obvi. So.
go ahead.
Daryl Lauder. I don't have anything to contribute. You may know me from the Unpub Network and from the board game Compounded. So there you go. Now your question.
Yeah, Daryl, so recently a bunch of us were at PAX East, and you were there too. Tell us about your PAX East experience. How did that go? What did you do there?
PAX East was awesome. We were invited by Ian Shemp, who runs the open gaming section for PAX and the game library. So he invited us by giving Unpub a 20 by 20 booth space
Awesome.
to help support the unpublished game scene at PAX. And so I was like, all right, not knowing what to expect, we did our normal networking through online, and we were packed every day. Stephanie actually came up and helped out. So Stephanie was there, and I mean, she can attest for everything I said. It was every single designer that was there always had a line to play their games. It was
Absolutely.
There were some pretty cool looking pictures from there. I saw that there was one pretty sprawling. I don't know if it was a 2-player card game. I was really interested to see what that thing was like.
Resistor.
Was it the blue one? The blue
Resistor.
mat or
Yeah,
whatever?
that's Resistor. Yeah, and that's Anthony and Nicole. Anthony, I don't know his last name, but Nicole Klein.
Yeah.
I've got him here. I met them last year. Anthony.
Well, if you go to unpub.net, you can look up Resistor on the games list, and it'll tell you everything about you need to know about the game.
They're absolutely going to be publishing that game, though, at some point.
Oh, awesome.
Yep.
So, but yeah, so
Anthony Amato.
There you go, Amato. Anthony Amato.
Hey, some good paisans.
Yep.
I like to see that.
Both awesome people.
Yep.
Awesome games. I didn't get to play Resistor. I played their other game, Kobolds Are Coming, but Resistor looked great.
Yeah,
Daryl, do you have anything in the works?
I'm sorry?
I was going to throw you a softball. Daryl, what do you have in the works?
Oh, we can get to me later.
Oh, well, we were focusing on you, you sexy
All right,
young.
fine. I'm working on a compounded expansion, and I actually have a new game in the works right now called Bottom of the Ninth, which is a micro baseball game. And it's all about the stress and the turmoil between the pitcher and the hitter, and the bottom of the ninth inning, bases tied, blah, blah, blah. And I'm working on that with the great sorry, I've got a weird...
Mike Mullins?
Mike Mullins. I'm working on that with the great Mike Mullins. Who, if you ever need a solo variant of a game, send your game to Mike Mullins. He will give you an amazing one that you can't top. So, but anyway, so that's that.
You tweeted out some great pictures of it, so I really enjoyed checking out those pictures because one of these days, man, I'm gonna get you to do some stuff for me for anything that
I'm sending you a print and play because you like baseball games or you like baseball like I do. So I'd love to get your feedback. So
yeah, man.
What about people that mildly like baseball? You should send.
Of course you're getting. You don't even have to ask. You don't even have to ask. You don't even ask.
I want to see Susie Slugs on second base and bottom of the ninth.
We cut her at the moment, so yeah. Yeah. Anywho, sorry.
So, BoardRoomers.
Without further delay, our topic for this episode is delays, production delays. And it's more from a publisher standpoint, hence Christopher, a consumer standpoint, hence Dan and Stephanie, and a designer standpoint, hence me, sort of. So,
You're a designer.
yeah. But I mean, this is a very deep well of a topic because, obviously it's going to bring into BGG trolling, Kickstarter trolling, things you're getting back from your customers, things you're telling your customers, what you don't tell your customers, all that stuff. So, Christopher, starting with you because you're our publisher, what delays have you had with Greater Than Games, and what have you done to help mitigate those, or I guess put a PR spin for your massive, massive, massive public audience?
Sure. So we've done several Kickstarters, and the first Kickstarter we ever did launched about on time. I think it was actually maybe a few weeks early, like a month early. But that was within the appropriate window and all that. The second Kickstarter we did, we were like, okay, man, we're going to have it on time and early, and then the boat full of games leaving China to come here got hit by a typhoon and had to go back to China and hang out for a week. And then it went all the way across the ocean, and then customs went, oh, these look interesting. And so it ended up launching. It was only like a month or two late, but there was like so many things that went wrong with it. We actually ended up putting a typhoon card that took cards out of your hand in a future expansion for Sentinels to poke fun at the fact that the typhoon took stuff out of our hands.
Unacceptable.
Yeah. No, but then we did another Kickstarter. Another Kickstarter was launched, and that one we ended up releasing stuff early. And then we had both Vengeance and Galactic Strike Force. Vengeance was delayed by a few months, and Galactic Strike Force ended up being delayed by 6 months later than we expected it to be. And so that one was pretty bad. But a lot of that was just, and we were very. The big part is communication, letting people know, hey, we're working on these things are going out. The information is, we've got all the stuff that we're taking care of. We ended up revamping a bunch of the game from a design standpoint to make it a better game. And when we told people, hey, the game's going to be late, but A, as a result, you're getting extra free promos. B, we're making an expansion that you're going to be getting for free. And C, the reason it's late is because we wanted to make it a better game and we wanted to take more time on it. And so when you tell people, hey, look, it's going to be late, but we're going to give you all this free stuff, and it's going to be a better game as a result, people are pretty understanding. We had a very small amount of people who were like, that's not acceptable. The date said this, and that's what I demand. And we're like, well, at any point in time, if you want, we'd be happy to give you a full refund. But if you would rather get all the free stuff, you can do that too. And
did backers get upset?
Yeah, we had a few. But it was the vast minority. And when we would post any sort of updates about like, hey, this delay is happening and that delay is happening, which ideally, of course, we want 0 delays. We want to be able to launch everything early. We want to be able to get you your rewards yesterday and for free. But realistically, things happen. And whenever anything like that happens, and we post updates and we say, hey, here's the situation, here's what's going on, here's what we're doing about it, here's what you can expect from us, and here's what we commit to. People tend to be very understanding and very supportive, and like, yeah, man, you guys do what you do, and we'll get it when we get it. And so it's very heartening to get that sort of positive feedback when we have bad news. So,
do you feel like it's better now? Like, it seems to me that like backers had to learn how to be a backer and like to learn Kickstarter. So like buying a game and then not getting that game immediately, probably in like 2010, and 11, was probably kind of hard to take. But now I think everybody's kind of used to, yep, I'm backing this game and I'm not going to see the game for several months.
Yeah, people are more used to that. There's still people that don't get Kickstarter, but generally, like the people that don't get Kickstarter will get on and complain about something, and then other Kickstarter backers will be like, no, you're wrong, and like. Yeah. When a customer is complaining in Kickstarter comments, it's bad form for the Kickstarter creator to get on and be like, you're wrong and we're not going to listen to your demands. But if the other Kickstarter backers get on and be like, you're wrong and they're not going to listen to your demands, that's a bit more leeway there.
And I've definitely done that.
I think I think we're starting to see different waves of Kickstarter backers now, because you've got the early adopters from Kickstarter, where there's people that have been backing stuff since way back in Alien Frontiers. Now when you first get on Kickstarter, you get very impatient, and because you want your stuff and you want it now. Then as you start getting your stuff, or you start getting more. It's kind of like when you get into gaming. So like as you get more and more Kickstarters, you start seeing what happens. You understand, sometimes these things happen. Like I almost noticed that nowadays anything that comes on time, it might be a crap game. So like you almost come to expect, that 1 month to 2 months, it's like it's cooking. Like they're cooking for the goodness. Like and if you really, really want something, and you've had that experience of getting games for so long, things that you really, really want, you've got a lot more patience. It's kind of weird. Like the more you've done Kickstarter, the more patience you have. So in like Chris, your games have been around for so long of the Kickstarter phenomenon, that I think people know. Like you've become the company now that people know you're going to get good crap when you get a greater than games game. So I think. Right now, the people that'll probably give you a little bit of lash are probably those newbies to Kickstarter. So then you have your loyal people that'll probably come in and say, hey, they're going to get you the good stuff, so relax. And it's really interesting to see some of the newer type, the newer projects that are getting the newer people that are coming in. So then you've got that they don't know how to handle the backlash, and the people that are backing don't know how to handle that. So it's really interesting. Like me now, I mean, I've got all these games that I'm waiting on, and a lot of them are 3 to 6 months late, and I haven't even checked on it. They check in and say, hey, this is where we're at. As long as they're giving us some sort of update. I haven't backed any. Luckily, I haven't backed anything that went belly up. So I mean, that's my thing is I'm just kind of like, all right, we'll get here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something. I mean, with Kickstarter, there's also, like you said, there's people that have built their expectations and are starting to learn more how it works. But with that too, the trap that new people to Kickstarter, that new content creators on Kickstarter are falling into is, I mean, when we post a Kickstarter and people say, wait a minute, you're not doing this that other Kickstarters do, or why aren't you doing this and why aren't you doing that? And a lot of those things are traps. A lot of those things that are traps that Kickstarter creators will be like, oh yeah, we should do this thing because other people have done it. And there are very specific reasons why we, Greater Than Games, don't do those things. And we had a bunch of people that were demanding that, like, we do this or do that, and some of our backers commented and responded and were like, they are not doing that, and they've never done that on their Kickstarters, and they're still a successful company, so probably they know what they're doing. I'm not going to say we're perfect, but there are very specific practices, some business practices we have when it comes to Kickstarters and things.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we don't want to get on Kickstarter because we will never, ever crawl out of that hole. But, well, what's like, when you're planning your date with Kickstarter, and this is going back to production delays, like, what things do you keep in account when you give that projected date? Like, why not? Why not just say, hey, I have a feeling it's going to be, I'm going to word this. Okay, I'm launching a Kickstarter today. So I can say December 2014 because odds are it'll probably be delivered by then. But why not just say September 2015 and add 6 months? So everyone's like, oh, it's going to take a while to get. And then when I say, hey, Merry Christmas, it's on its way, everyone's happy.
I mean, you could totally do that, and I know people do. We want to be able to give people a realistic expectation of, people are going to make plans around getting it, and we definitely try to give ourselves a little bit of leeway, but not nearly that much, because we want for people to still have some sort of expectation of when they're going to get it. And if we consistently, like I said, we've done several Kickstarters. If every time we do a Kickstarter we say, oh, September 2015, and then it shows up, 6 months earlier than that or whatever, then once we've done that a couple of times, people will know, oh, that release date doesn't mean anything. And then when we actually make the release date that we said we would, people are like, this is late. And so you've built sort of unrealistic expectations there. If we were doing releases that weren't on Kickstarter, we wouldn't say a month. I would probably say like quarters. We'd be like, you could expect this by the end of the year 2014, or you could expect this summer of 2015, things like that. And just to give ourselves a little bit of wiggle room there. But with Kickstarter, you have to put in a month. So that's the only reason that we have any sort of dates that are deadlines. But generally, for us, it's a matter of wanting to get games out when they're ready. Like Dan said, if something's a few weeks or months late, but it's because it's a better game, that's a better thing, and we absolutely stand by that. We don't want to delay any of our products, but we will if we must for the right reasons, not just for like, oh, we didn't feel like it now on time. Like, obviously, we want to have the games out as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So I mean, any of the sort of projections we make are based on, okay, we know it needs about a month-ish for actually being printed, a month plus for printing, and then a month plus for delivery, because they have to put it on a boat, and the boat goes across the ocean, and then it gets to the harbor, and then
typhoons could happen.
And then it gets, typhoons happen, it gets put on a train, the train has its way here, once the train that was on its way here derailed, that was exciting. So like all those things are things that can happen. Then when it hits our warehouse in giant cargo containers. And if you're following us on Twitter, whenever one of those comes in, we usually tweet a picture of it. And if you look at the pictures of the cargo containers we receive, it's clear like that stuff's not ready to ship. It comes all packed on the floor in a cargo container. We have to unload every box by hand onto pallets and then forklift those pallets onto our shelves. Then we take those pallets and we have to put them up on the shelves, otherwise, because if we just left them on the floor, they'd take over the whole warehouse. We couldn't walk around. So then after we put them up on shelves, we take them back down from the shelves, take them out of boxes, and sort them with anything else you get into your boxes and ship them out to you. And that's for pre-orders and Kickstarters. For distributors, we're taking those pallets and shipping them directly to distributors, so on and so forth. But by the time it hits our warehouse, it still has at least a week plus before it's getting shipped out to people. So if people say, oh man, the cargo container hit their warehouse, I should be getting my game any day now. Yeah, in a couple weeks. Usually a couple weeks for it to get shipped out and then another week-ish for it to show up at your house. I mean, if you live in Indianapolis and we're here in St. Louis, you'll get it within a day or two of shipping. If you live in California, you'll get it in 3 or 4 days or 5 days of shipping. So that all depends on all the variables there. So yeah, I mean, there's just a ton of stuff to do, and we have to take all those things into consideration. And we say, okay, ideally, this is when we would be able to get everything done, and now we're gonna try to meet or beat that date. So
it seems like at any point, any one of those steps could be a possible delay. So at the worst, you could have a delay at every single one of those steps.
Absolutely.
It's like you don't want to plan your Kickstarter and go. I mean, you want to under promise and over deliver, but I'm sure you're not going to go, yep, you'll get it sometime in the next 3 years.
Right. I mean, we could say, Gen Con 2018 is when our next game will be out.
Right.
But like, if you have to have some sort of realistic. Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, if you create that false expectation, then people just know, oh, you can't trust the release dates. They just throw something out there.
Hey, Christopher, when you get because you've done a whole bunch, most of your things have been cards up till tactics. Now, I'm guessing that with with Sentinels, after a while, you kind of got a feel for how long the turnaround time is going to be on a lot of things. How much did adding miniatures to the mix and board and stuff? How much agita did you get, or how much were you a little concerned about the wiggle room on your time, or did that?
So with Galactic Strike Force, we did miniatures, and that was an interesting thing because yes, it takes more time, but we sent all the miniature files to be created, and those are made in a different factory than the cards because, like, unsurprisingly, the giant production facilities, they're not the same one for cards as they are for miniatures.
Right.
And we sent all of the miniature files to be created a long time before the cards, because with the miniatures, we didn't have to do any sort of like play testing to make sure they worked. We just, once we had the files that were necessary for the sculpts and all that, we sent those off and began that process right off the bat. And then when while we were still making cards and still doing final playtesting and still creating the rulebook, and so yeah, the production time for a primarily card game is about a month, depending on the size of the game, and the production time for the minis was greater than that, but we were able to send the files off sooner, so that didn't actually negatively impact us at all. Same thing with Sentinel Tactics. We were definitely thinking about sculpts and getting that stuff in earlier than we did with the cards, which is why when we launched the Sentinel Tactics Kickstarter, we launched it day one with visible prototype miniatures where we could see we've already got prototypes. We already know roughly what these things are going to look like, and we're already working to finalize those details. And the cards aren't even done yet. So, so you just kind of you have to do your things in various orders in order to make sure that they all poop out at the same time.
Thank you for that colorful word. So it's going to get longer here in a second. There we go, got it. So when you have a delay, again, from a publisher standpoint, is there any monetary loss for you? I mean, is waiting costing you money short of time is money? I mean,
yeah, time is money, but also, like, so we had Galactic Strike Force at PAX East. In order for us to do that, because it's correct, if you can have a game at a convention, you get that game to that convention. It's going to have people, you're going to have press, you're going to have things you don't necessarily expect, people are going to walk by and see it, they're going to talk about it. Like, conventions are some of the best press and the best publicity you can get. So we were like, okay, Galactic Strike Force is done, and they're putting it on a boat, and that boat's going to go across the ocean, and it's going to show up in our warehouse. Awesome. Take one pallet of those games, and wrap it, and we talked to our production facility. We're like, take one pallet of those games and the minis and the promos, wrap it up, and air freight that pallet directly to the convention. That is expensive. That's really expensive. Air freighting a single pallet, especially because you have to pay to air freight it from China, and then you have to pay to have it received separately at the loading dock from your other stuff by the convention itself. So, yeah, no, it cost us a pile of money, and we, quote-unquote, lost money. We did lose money by air freighting that pallet to PAX East. But we got a lot more attention, we got a lot more eyes on it. We ended up having, like, 6 games left at the end of the convention, and we sent some of those to various reviewers. So there's a few reviewers that now have that game in hand, and they are working on or have just posted reviews of that game. So that sort of advanced stuff, we look at that as those are marketing costs. The marketing cost of this, is it worth it? Yeah. Would it have been better if we'd gotten the game, actually in the warehouse by the beginning of the year? and we're able to actually take copies of the game to the convention via the regular ground freight rates that we paid to get all of our other stuff there, yeah, it would have been a ton better. But it wasn't the case. And so, do we lose money by having the game released late? Not necessarily, but then if a game is late, there are things we do involving trying to accelerate the process of getting the game out that end up costing us more. That's just the case. So yes, we absolutely lose money by having something out late, and you lose a little bit of faith. You lose a little bit of faith in your backers, both faith and faith. Where people will say, you know, we expected this by whatever date you said, and now it's not there yet. It's delayed, and that makes me feel like Greater Than Games isn't giving me what I paid for, what I deserve, what I expected, any of those things. And people are understanding, but there are some people, and there are some people that don't say anything, they don't complain about it, but internally they're going, well, maybe I don't trust them as much. Maybe they do their next Kickstarter and I don't back it because their last one was a little bit delayed. And that's a fair response. We can't begrudge people that opinion. And we hope that people understand when things are delayed. Delays are a natural state of things, but they are also a thing that happens in the vast minority, and we work hard to keep it that way.
It's those people that aren't out there rah, 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 I hate you that you got to worry about. It's the quiet ones that don't come back, because those rah, rah people are likely still going to back you again.
You know, that's the thing, is it's just, you know, the opposite of love isn't hate, it's apathy. And it's the same thing with backers, where like if someone's like super strident and like raging against you, people are going to write that person off as a crazy person, and that person is they're spending so much time being super invested in what you're doing. Hey, at least they're still super invested in what you're doing. It's the people that go, oh, Greater Than Games, yeah, I guess. I mean, they made some games. I don't care anymore. Oof, we've lost that person. So.
Well, how delayed was Galactic Strike Force?
6 months, I believe.
So is there a like time frame that's becomes unreasonable? Like, even if you're communicating and even if you're going, but we're making it better, I promise, or these delays are happening, is there a time frame where it's like, okay, come on, now it's really delayed? Like, I mean, I don't have any games that I've purchased or backed that have really been delayed that long, so I guess I don't know how that feels, but I mean, I know people that are still waiting on games, and it's like a year plus.
Yep, and I think at a certain point you have to be. And I've seen some delays that are also not well communicated, where people say, "Oh, well, the fault is with the publisher or the fault is with the designer," but they're not telling you everything, and they're, you know, pointing fingers and naming and, you know, placing blame here and there. And like, man, that doesn't do anybody any good. You've got to own up to it. Yeah, yes, this is delayed. Here's what we're doing about it. Here's why it's delayed. Regardless of the whys and the wherefores, you know, we're going to do everything we can. Like when the typhoon happened, we're like, hey, guys, this typhoon is happening, and there's nothing we can do about it. And I guarantee you, however upset you are about it, we're more upset.
Right. And probably the people that were in the typhoon are probably pretty upset.
They're probably pretty upset. But for something like Galactic Strike Force, where it's like that one wasn't delayed because of a typhoon, it was delayed because we took extra time finishing it. And just like you said, you know, I said, you know, the delays were because we were making the game better. Great, that's a legit reason, fine. And hey, we're giving you extra free stuff as a result. Great, that's a legit, like, hey, sorry about the delay, as a result, here's stuff. Like, good, fine, it's a payoff, that's nice. But ultimately, there are people that don't. We just, like we said, we just finished the Sentinel Tactics Kickstarter, and there was a bunch of add-ons and a bunch of like promo stuff that happened as a result of that. And it got to the very end, and we sent out the survey, and a bunch of people have responded and be like, hey, we didn't see any of this promo stuff. What gives? Because they either don't read their Kickstarter backer update emails, or they have elected to unsubscribe for those emails, which you can do, or they like skim the emails or whatever. And they come back in and they say, okay, you know, what's the deal? Why can't I get in on this? I didn't know about this. It's like, okay, that's kind of your fault, but we'll work with you here. But those same people, or people like them, don't read the updates where we say, hey, we're really sorry this is delayed, and here's why, and here's what we're doing about it. All they know is we haven't delivered. They don't know why. And maybe it's their fault for not reading emails. Maybe it's our fault for not like knocking down their door. One way or another, there are people out there that don't have their games yet. They don't know why, and all they can feel is bad about that. Like, I don't begrudge them that. So we're doing everything we can to mitigate that, but at the same time, you know, there's only so much you can do. And if someone comes up to me and they're like, hey, man, where's my game? I'm like, I'm really sorry. We should have that for you. We will get it to you. But that's all you can do.
Yeah, but I'd rather have that, you know, and have somebody take a lot of care in getting that to me and making sure that it gets there and it looks great, rather than somebody rushing to get it to me. Then when I got the agents, man, that box was torn to crap, and it wasn't that, you know, nobody ran over the thing, but the box itself was, I mean, it just looked like it was just a rush job, and I would rather have that a month late and have everything in that box be pristine and the tuck boxes and everything else look good, rather than what I got, which is the corners on each part of the box, and then the tuck boxes look like somebody stepped on them. I mean, this isn't just the way it was handled. This is the way it was handled before it got in my bag. So I don't want anything early. I want it so that it looks perfect, as if I went to my friendly local game store and bought it off the shelf. And it should look even better than that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why I can deal with, right now, I can deal with those delays, so that, you know, ensures it gets that.
Yeah. Well, and that's actually one thing too. Sorry, Daryl. I want to address a quick thing, and then I'll give it over to you. Sorry about that.
Stop talking, Christopher.
Nope.
Gosh.
One of the things that we when we get our shipments and we start to ship out things to our backers and our pre-orders and our regular orders and all that, we could definitely ship things out faster. We could probably get them all packed up and ship them out in a week. But I have gotten a lot of games that are just like, here's a cardboard box, and you open up and here's a game inside, and the corners are crushed because the FedEx guy, like, package handlers, whether they're FedEx or USPS or UPS, they're going to take your boxes and they're going to throw them in a truck. They're going to drive that truck somewhere, they're going to take it out of the truck, and they're going to throw your box. I know that because when I'm packing up trucks, I throw the boxes into the trucks, and I watch the FedEx guys throw the boxes. That is the truth. So you make your boxes out of solid, good cardboard, probably double-walled, and you bubble wrap around your games, and you pack in empty space that things can move around with packing peanuts, and you do it right. You pack your games right. And I've been really disgusted with some games that I've ordered from various online retailers or had sent to me through Kickstarters, that the game arrives damaged, and even the components damaged, not just a ding in the corner, but the components damaged because it was just tossed in a box and shipped to me. And one of the things that we consistently try to do with Greater Than Games is we want to be we don't want to just make the games you want to play. We want to be the company you want to work with. Specifically, we want to be the company I want to work with. When I order a game, I want to have this. I want my customer experience to be this. I want my ordering experience to be this. I want all the process to be these things. And so it's imperative to us that when we're packing and shipping things, that they're packed and shipped in a way that they don't get damaged. And then, in the once-in-a-while case where they do get damaged, we have an email address right there. You shoot us an email and you say, hey, this got damaged. And we're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Let's send you replacements. Those are all, I mean, those are different topics. Those are different issues from delays, but it's all part of the same thing, which is making sure that what the person bought is what they're getting plus. Is the over-delivering you're talking about, Stephanie.
Well, and the trust. Like, I don't think that anybody's, well, maybe some people are, but I doubt the majority of people are going to go, Greater Than Games took 6 months and Galactic Strike Force was delayed. I'm never going to back anything again. It seems a little extreme, and there are a lot of extreme people, but like, it would take several more times for that to happen, for me to go, I'm not going to buy that game. I mean, if the worst thing that happens to a game is it's delayed, I feel like that's not that bad. Yeah. I mean, you know, even if I maybe don't trust that publisher as much yet, like, that's still not that bad. But if you have several games that you've kickstarted and all of them are delayed, or a lot of them are delayed, or multiple ones are delayed, even if there's communication, I'm probably going to be irritated because there's something going on with that company that they don't have their shit together.
I don't think people use the word delay anymore. I mean, with things that are only, you know, 3 to 4 months, because it's almost kind of like understood and expected. Like, yeah. I don't think the word delay until I hear it's like 7, 8 months late. Then yeah. You know, it's almost like an expected part of, or accepted or expected part of Kickstarter these days.
Well, I got a game in, and this is kind of touching on, Patrice, what you were talking about with the agents, and then Christopher, what you were talking about with packing. I got a game in recently from Kickstarter, and it was 3 months from being 1 year late. And it's a board game, just a straight-up, nothing special board game. And it's by a large, well-known publisher, and I'm not saying anything because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. Normally, their components are decent, and this was just, it was just like, kind of like Game Crafter quality printing on the cards and the even folding board, where I open it up and the board actually, like, the corners stuck together. Pull it up, and it, like, the edges weren't taped. I mean, it was just like wrapped cardboard, and you know, you got the beveled center or the graphics in the center that pop up, and it's, I mean, delays like that. I know that you as a publisher get hard proofs of everything. I mean, is that something that you can catch and change that late, or is that kind of like,
That's
well,
tough.
we saw it, it looks like crap, they're getting crap?
No, that's tough. So we get hard proofs of things, but it tends to be they print a thing. What they do, well,
You get like advanced copies.
I get an advanced copy, but they print, however many copies, they print the 10,000 copies of the thing that we're making, and then they mail us one when they ship us the others. So at that point, I look at the one, and like, if it were 100% unacceptable, if I opened the box and it were full of maggots, I'd be like, hold on, we got to do something about this. We can't ship this out to our backers or whatever. Yeah, maggots, Stephanie.
Maggots of the multiverse.
It has happened. 100%. I was like, there needed to be 587 cards in this box. There's 587 maggots. That's wrong. That's wrong. They put the wrong component in here. This is for the next game. Anyway, but yeah, so if there was some huge problem and we stopped for the backers, we'd be like, okay, hold on, no, we just cannot ship this out. We have to do something about this, and we'd work with that. But it's never happened to that point before. What we get,
Christopher always has a visual.
the physical components that we get that are physical proofs are these. No, this is not a copy of Emperor's New Clothes. It is the proofs that we get, you like that, before that are essentially we talk to the printer and we say, hey, we're going to make this kind of thing. And they go, great, are these the components you would need for it? And it would be, you get like, these are box lid, okay, and this shows the printing would be here and it'd be on this kind of material. And you just say, oh, the matte finish that I like. And the printing flaps over to here, okay. And then you open up the box and you're like, oh, here's your plastic tray and these are cards. This is just a shrink wrap thing of white cards, and that tells you what kind of card stock it would be. So, okay, the card stock's like that. Great, I can work with that. And then this is a sheet of some sort of paper, and this is the rule book quality. And then here are some panels that we're going to be using, and it shows the quality on that. And then, oh, this is what the plastic tray is. And like, this is actually one they sent us for a game that we're making. And we're like, no, we don't want the plastic tray to be like this. We want the molded insert here to be deeper, and then this one to be bigger, and this one to be shaped differently. And so we do that, and then they go, okay, great. And so rather than printing a thing and sending it to us, and then we say, no, that's not right, we can do it all conceptually, and that's how we do it, and that's how Dad did it, that's how America does it, and it's worked out pretty well so far.
Beautiful.
Oh, man. All right. Anywho, well, I mean,
Keith Collins has a question.
Oh yeah, that I was trying to ignore the other one until
he says, why do you feel most projected deliveries are shorter than will be possible? Why not use the Montgomery Scott theory of under-promising and over-delivering versus the opposite?
We do. We absolutely under-promise and over-deliver, but even still things can happen. And we don't want to under-promise. Like we said, we could say, look, this game's coming out in 2017. But then at that point, people are going, wait, why is it taking so long? And also, that's way unrealistic. And then if we do it a few times. Like, there are certainly things we do, but you absolutely, as a publisher or a creator of anything, you want to under-promise and over-deliver, but you also want to temper that with realism.
Yep.
And so
keep it real.
Well, I know Kirkman, who couldn't be here tonight, but he had he also wanted to see like this angle from a designer's point of view. So I mean, Christopher, you could also obviously tail that with this, but I'm going to jump in on this as well.
Great.
And from a designer point of view, when we get word from delays from the publisher, usually before everyone else finds out, and it's something like in a quick text or just like a very casual drop, like, "Hey man, how you doing? I'm doing good. How are you? Great. I like that shirt. By the way, it's going to be another 6 months to you."
Yeah. LOL. Game link.
It's like, wait, what? But it's like, as frustrating as that is, because obviously designers, we want to get our game out so we can say, look at me, I have a game published, ego, and but it kind of becomes nice because it gives you a chance to double check all the components again, double check this and that, and it kind of helps you immediately team up with the publisher, or Chris, I guess you team up with yourself.
Well, I mean,
helping with the PR of why it's delayed. Like, hey, this is a good thing. It's going to be awesome. And then also, especially with Kickstarter, we've come to realize that it's, at least me, for every 100% that you overfund, like, to me, it's like, okay, you get another 3 months before I'm expecting a delivery because you're making 100% more than you planned with that initial date estimate. No one expects to say, this project's gonna fund 1,003%. So I'm still gonna say December, of last year because I have a target. No one does that. You plan for, if this hits and a little bit of overage. I mean, with compounded, we didn't expect nearly 1,000%, and that was actually where I got the whole equation of every 100% you get 3 months leeway of a due date, because that was one of the backers, and she said, everything I've backed, this is what I've come to notice as a trend, and I looked at it, I was like, that's pretty amazing. Now, granted, we weren't even 3 months late, but it was still very true, and then I see the frustration, and I can understand it more when something barely funds and it's still almost a year late.
Well, then you also look at things that the extras that people are promised in those stretch rewards, because when you have these overfunded and there's just a truckload of stretch rewards, you're like, there's no way in hell they're making this date if they're getting us all this stuff.
No, and I think publishers, and Chris, you can back me up on this, you shoot yourself in the foot if you're promising more and more stuff that is not going in that initial game box.
Have you seen what we did for the Sentinel Tactics Kickstarter in that regard?
The painted and unpainted minis?
Not just that, but as you said, so there's the game, and you're pledging for the game. Then there's all these extra stretch goals, and all the stretch goals...
all your emails, so I'm just, whatever, here's money.
Well, all the stretch goals get combined into a single expansion, and that expansion that gets shipped at the same time as the game, and you're going to get those two things at the same time. Don't worry, we're on it. And it's because we were planning all those things from the start, and we knew how it was going to go. But then we ended up overfunding to a ridiculous degree beyond what we expected, so we're like, okay, fine. We want to give you more stuff, but the two things about this stuff. One, you're going to have to pay a little extra for it because it's going to be shipped separately and it's going to be made separately. Two, it's going to be delivered 6 to 8 months after everything else is delivered, because we're going to finish production on this, we're going to make all this stuff, we're going to send it to you, and then we're going to do production, and we're going to make, and we're going to ship to you the other stuff, and it's a separate shipment, and it's made available as part of this Kickstarter, but we're not just going to keep doing add-ons and add-ons and add-ons and be a thing. It's like, look, it's going to take us an extra year to make this thing. Like, no, we're not doing that. And so, and some people were like, why is this taking extra time? But we explained it several times, and some people as a result said, no, we don't want it, we're not going to buy it. We're like, okay, don't. This is the advantage of the system. Is what we're doing here is we're giving you the opportunity to get these things if you want to, and if you don't want to, it doesn't hurt us. It's just an extra opportunity, and we guarantee that if you want to try to buy it separately when it's broken all into pieces at your game store or be an online retailer, it'll cost more that way. But I don't care. Here's an option. You can take it or you cannot. And so just kind of figuring out what we could do and the ways that we could make it most easily available without killing our production schedule has been a big part of it. It's interesting you were talking about also delays from the point of view of the designer versus the point of view of the publisher. And I've had interactions with both of those in the last year because like you said, that I am the designer and the publisher, but there are designer things and there's publisher things. Galactic Strike Force was delayed for designer reasons. The game needed more development time. We didn't give ourselves enough time. We ended up taking some extra time because of a revamping that happened that made the game better. Proud of it, happy about it, so I'll stand by those decisions. But that was a designer reason that the game got delayed. The Inferno Relics and Enhanced Edition shipment that we did, was that only a year ago? Maybe it was more. I don't know. It was more than a year ago. Look, it's crazy. Okay, but anyway, so when we did that one, that was the one that got delayed by the typhoon, and that's a publisher delay. That's a delay that was entirely for logistical reasons, and it happened, and it was rough, but there's not a lot you can do about that, and sometimes those things happen. I know that sometimes you send stuff to ship or to print at your print facility, and then it takes more time because the printer comes back and says there were 3 or 4 big things in line in front of you, and those things took extra time. And so that's one of the reasons we work really hand in hand with our printer to make sure that our stuff is going to be happening on the schedule that we're working with. But anyway, so yeah, both sides of those things can affect stuff.
All this talk, this is almost like fate stabbing me in the back that I had to be on here with Bedell because your Sentinels ended right after Easter, and I completely forgot. The next morning, because I gave up buying any games for Lent, and I did a pretty good job, so I was going to back Tactics. The next morning, I get online and I see that it's over, and I'm like, no! So
Well,
now-
Dan, you're in luck. There are many people who are also in your shoes who have just realized that A, they didn't back it, or B, they backed it but didn't add enough of the add-ons they wanted. And you still have a very small window that you can shoot us a message through the Kickstarter system, and we'll take care of you.
Oh, do tell. Awesome.
Yeah, no,
I guess I'll be
absolutely.
hopping on that tonight.
There's a button that says, like, message the creator, and there's a ton of people that are like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize it was ending, or whatever. And it's like, yeah, shoot us a message, we'll take care of you.
Wow. And I didn't even plan that.
Sure.
I'm glad that there's that option.
It's
That's
like,
awesome.
can I be on the BoardRoomers show? I really am interested in this topic. Or I want to be able to get Sentinel Tactics. Something that you said, Christopher, so I think that's great that you had the intuition to, while your Kickstarter is running, you originally had a plan for all this stuff to come together, and now, since it's so funded, now it's going separate. Like, you had that intuition to communicate that and know that that was not realistic for you to make all of those things and send them out to all of your backers all at the same time. And so you were able to do that pretty much immediately. So I don't think that everybody has that intuition.
Well, it's not our first rodeo.
Yeah, there's definitely are some, but I don't know that every publisher is really thinks on the fly. But I mean, you have like great logistics people. Like Paul is fantastic.
He is.
Holy moly, he is so amazing. So you have a really great team, plus you, and you're super intelligent. But how can other publishers, like, is that just something you learn just to have that intuition? Like, I mean, I know that Chris ran into an issue with Dice, but it was, out of his control. But it was like, well, either send this part separately from the game that's not part of the game, but it was part of a stretch goal, so it's a reward, or do I delay the game? And ultimately he has to spend more money because he's going to ship it separately. But you knew that immediately that you were going to have to ship stuff separately, and so you're like, hey, well, backers, you pay for this because you're getting it, separately. Granted, he didn't know while the Kickstarter was running. He didn't know until way farther down the line, but right. He had to make a decision, like, do I delay the game, or do I send the game and I send the other stuff later, and then I spend lots more in shipping?
Right, and that's the thing, is like, we've definitely, whenever we've done any sort of thing where we've had multiple shipments, the shipping cost, I mean, the shipping cost is always the biggest, like, giant pile of money that comes out of it. It's not, at this point for us, it's not unexpected, but for our first couple of Kickstarters, we definitely did not expect the shipping costs to be as high as they were. They were rough, and they were like, okay, so we learned, and we knew that, okay, shipping is a big part of it. Like you said, what's a way to be able to figure that out? The easy way to figure that out is what you do is you turn to your right, and you say, Paul, what do we need to do to make this happen? You can see yourself there. What do we need to do to make sure that all the logistics stuff work on this Kickstarter? And then Paul goes, oh, here's everything you need to know because I know everything, and he makes it easy. And then you go, okay, thanks, Paul, and he makes it work.
I'm such a Paul fangirl right now. Like, I'm like, Paul.
Well, you're right. Yeah, he's right. It is. Right. It's Paul. That's Paul. That is 2/3 of Greater Than Games is on the screen right now. Adam was actually here earlier, but about halfway through the show, he left because he'd been here all day making art. But Paul and I are still here.
We kind of live here.
Yeah, we totally live here.
What's
This
that
is
new
Paul.
motion?
Anybody that doesn't know, Paul is the operations director of Greater Than Games. He is the reason that we are a company and not just a couple of guys making games and doing an okay job. He's the reason we're doing a great job being a company and not just being designers.
Awesome. So everybody needs a Paul.
Nice to meet you, Paul.
Okay. Good luck.
I got another question for you.
Hi, Paul.
Cool. Oh, bye.
He said bye.
Bye.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
That's right. So when we were talking about delays, this is kind of, it goes more into the planning and a lot of idea of Kickstarter. But so when you're talking about delays too, so you've got delays in your games. I don't know if you as a company, do you delay from when you are getting things to backers to when you have it readily available to the public? Now one of the biggest complaints I've had in the last year or so is that when I get a game that I've backed, people can buy it either the same day or a week later, and that doesn't feel special to me. Now, when you delay a game even further, you need to delay getting it to the public even further, and I guess that hurts your bottom line as well. Like, where do you stand as a publisher? Where do you stand in that?
So what we do is we get the game into the warehouse, we immediately ship it out to any Kickstarter backers. Then if we did a pre-order, for some things we do, for some products we make, we do pre-orders as well as Kickstarters, and some of them we don't. And so we first ship it out to all the Kickstarter backers. Then we ship it out to all our pre-order backers. Then we ship it to distributors. Now, that means that the distributor shipment goes out after all of the individual shipments go, and those distributor shipments go to the distributors. The distributors unpack them, repack them into other shipments, and send them out to stores. And then stores get them and put them on the shelves. So by the time they're out on the shelves at stores, they've usually been in the hands of the Kickstarter backers for at least a week, sometimes 3 weeks, sometimes a month plus. And so that's our rule of thumb for that. The only time that doesn't happen is when we have a situation like we did with Galactic Strike Force, where we had it available at PAX East. And what we said was, hey, anybody that's a Galactic Strike Force backer, come by the booth. We will have your rewards for you and let you pick them up there. And there were some people that lived in Boston that were like, or lived near Boston, or had friends going to PAX East, or were like, hey, I'm not going to be there, but I have a friend who's there. There's actually a couple of people who lived in Boston. They're like, we're in Boston, but we're not at PAX East. Can we, like, meet you out front of the convention center and pick up the game? We're like, yeah, we'll make that work. We'll absolutely make that work. But for us, and we told people, look, we're going to have the game there. We're going to have it at the convention. We're going to play it there, and we're going to show it there, and we're going to sell it there. But only after you guys have picked up your rewards, and we're still going to ship it to you right away. And I know there are going to be some people that were like, wait a minute, so somebody from the public got to buy it, and I didn't even have it yet? That's not fair, and I understand that, and I don't necessarily disagree. But at the same time, we have to have it at the convention for those publicity reasons we were talking about. And you're not losing out on anything. You are not getting something. We're not taking something away from you by making it available at that convention. All we're doing is making sure that the game is going to get the sort of attention that it deserves for being the game as good as it is.
Well, and then it was sent out very shortly after that.
Yes, absolutely, right.
So I think if it was like PAX and then you're selling it and then you didn't send it out like for a long time after that, I think that would be one thing, you know.
Right. No. Or if we like had it available at PAX, and the other thing is that at PAX you buy the game and you buy the miniature separately, and you buy the expansion separately, and you buy the promos you have to do the various things to get. And whereas with the Kickstarter backers, like a lot of stuff you're getting for free, so you're still getting something for cheaper, and you still like there are certainly rewards and benefits to being a Kickstarter backer or a pre-order over just buying it at a convention, But yeah, no, I definitely understand when people say, hey, I feel cheated by this. I'm like, I hear you, and I feel bad about that. But at the same time, you're not actually losing anything, and we are going to get it to you as fast as possible, and we still have that commitment to you that we made originally. So
I've seen that done appropriately, what you did, and I've seen it done where it seemed to rub people the wrong way, like much more so. Yeah. I haven't heard any buzz about, man, Greater Than Games really cheated us with Galactic Strike Force, but I do remember hearing some buzz about that same situation sort of happening, but I wasn't really involved in it. I wasn't a backer, but I remember hearing about it, and it was a big deal in that specific situation. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. Possibly.
I don't, because I've actually seen a few that could fit that slot that you're talking about, but I might be thinking of one of the ones.
Well, the unfortunate the mishap with Eminent Domain, I think it set the pace so that would never happen as bad again as I love Eminent Domain. It was my game of the year that year, but boy, was that an absolute fiasco for a Taste of Minstrel. So I know they made the mistake for the world. So hopefully nobody else makes that bad of a mistake.
Yeah.
But I don't know where I stand on that too, because there are some things that you back that you really want to get, and you want to get either exclusivity or you want to get it early, and sometimes you have these the campaigns that just squeak by. So they may not have a ton of extras, and then you're like, well, I really didn't get anything extra, and then right now I just got it today, and hey, there it is on the shelf of my friendly local game store. That kind of almost sours you. I don't feel like cheated might be a little strong, but it kind of sours me. It all depends on who the publisher is, and I'll be quite honest, who the publisher is, if it's a big publisher, small, middle, because you have some, I kind of give them a pass if it's a small publisher, because if it's a small publisher, then they're like, well, maybe I'm also helping to fund their dream, in a way. But, if it's a bigger publisher, and, if Queen Games did that, where I can get the same thing like tomorrow, and even I backed it, and I'm still waiting for it, then that's going to sour me to helping back their projects. And, I'm just using Queen as a big publisher, not necessarily that they did that, but I'm just using that as, if if Daryl out our games, I'm helping him fund the baseball game, and he needs that. I'm the last backer to put some over. Then I'm fine. I'm fine waiting to get it, even if it's in the store at the same time. But you see what I'm saying? Am I just a raving lunatic?
Well, a raving lunatic.
You are. No, that all makes sense. I know that Dice Hate Me Games feels pretty adamantly about sending stuff to Kickstarter backers first. But I don't know if the situation came up, if he would make that decision to break that, to sell a game at a con. But I know that in all of my conversations with him, he feels pretty strongly that yeah, we'll do that at the end, Keith. That he feels pretty strongly that he is absolutely games go to the backers first, and he will not sell a game at a con until the backers have them.
Well, I know Chris has that. He also has the thing about the expansions and things like that. There is exclusivity for a time period, and I really like the way Chris does that, where it's almost like a year or whatever it is. Daryl, is that what kind of around there? It's almost like a year where you can't get the expansion and stuff, and then it goes on sale, and that makes you feel special.
I need my Breaking Bad promo card.
I have one.
Daryl.
I have one of those.
I need my methamphetamine.
Yeah.
Screenshot. You can play with this. Take a screenshot. Quick.
Yeah.
I want it. I want that.
That's awesome.
No, yes, that's definitely the way Dice Hate Me mentality works. We were very close to not selling compounded at Spiel.
Beal?
Essen?
Easy beer?
Essen's Germany. Is it called Spiel or Spiel?
Spiel.
I think it's Spiel, isn't it?
Spiel.
Beal.
Spiel.
Spiel.
Wow.
Just like Muppet Snap. Spiel.
So,
No.
Drink every time we say spiel.
all right, so it almost was not at Spiel, and because it wasn't sent out to the backers yet, and that wasn't a good situation. That was a delay that we were all very frustrated over. But thankfully, it got sent out, and then we had, I think, 3 or 4 days, and then Spiel happened. So it was like, okay, we're okay to sell. Everything's shipped out. So either majority of them have it, or they have the tracking number and they know it's on their way. So, and at that point, I think that's the closest he's ever been to selling before all the backers have gotten the game. And,
Daryl, I bet Compounded did pretty well at Spiel, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe I don't know the quantities that our distributor has been taking, but every show that they take it to, it has sold out. So whatever the quantity they take with them, it has sold out of that. So,
good.
Recently at PAX it sold out, which is great because launched the expansion in June. Ladies. So, but yeah, so with that. Yeah, I kind of want to wrap this episode up. I think we've kind of touched on everything that we can without... Christopher, you said a lot, but I mean, it really would have been great if we could have figured out the tech stuff and gotten Christopher or Kirkman or Patrick on with it as well.
Do I get to open up? Can I open up a pack on the live?
Yes, let's
right.
do that.
We're going to do this thing.
Only if you're going to give it to me. You have to give the contents of that booster pack to me.
No, if I need it for my set, it comes to me.
No.
You guys can have all of my Marvel dice.
I'm short 12.
Which one is it? I can't see.
That's a I
Doom.
believe that's a Green Goblin. Oh, and that is the
Vibranium Shield.
Yep. So let's see which one it's a. Let's see if it's a rare or what they are here.
If you got Gabi, I'm calling dibs right now.
You get like Black Widow.
Oh no, One of a Kind and Goblin Lord. I think they're both common or uncommon. But I've got one more. All right. I know this is great radio or TV. I'm sorry.
No, you're great.
It would not be great radio. This would be terrible
I'm
radio.
sorry. This is great TV. All right. So now we also have. Ooh, can anybody tell me what that is? You see that one?
That is Doom?
I can't see
That's
it.
Dr. Doom.
Yep.
Yeah.
And ooh.
Human Torch.
That's Captain Cosmic.
Actually, I need one more Human Torch die, so just keep that in mind.
Ooh, number 78 and number 40. So the Human Torch got Johnny Storm, think that might be an uncommon.
That's the
And then
uncommon.
the Doctor Doom is a common.
Yeah.
It's the
Do you know how to
Remixes.
tell?
Well, you can kind of tell
The
by the
colors.
numbers,
The
and there's
colors.
also the colors on the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can't
Red
quite
is
make out the
for-
colors in this light.
This
yeah,
is Marvel Dice, by the way, everybody.
Oh, sorry, everybody.
And Marvel Dice Masters, and it's a good game. It's a lot of fun. But my biggest complaint with it is like there's a Spider-Man, and so there's common, uncommon, and rare Spider-Man, and they all have the exact same art, and that bugs me to no end. It's like I want my rare to look different than my uncommon.
Right.
No, your common should be standard Spider-Man, your uncommon should be Scarlet Spider, and your rare should be Black Suit Spider-Man. Done.
Or
Absolutely.
even just Ultimate Spider-Man. Throw
Yeah.
Ultimate Spider-Man as my rare.
Sure.
Well, they have different names, don't they?
Yeah, but like when you're
So why
sitting
didn't they
across
just
the
do the
table,
art differently?
but when you're sitting across the table from me, I don't want to be asking you, wait, which one is that one, and then have to
Well,
remember.
it is. The starter is like $15, and the boosters are $1. So I mean, like the bags that come in it are crap. You know, I mean, and then they don't have a lot of artwork. So
That's a good point.
they tried to make it
I'd rather
affordable.
the price be like that. I'd rather the price be like that and
Right.
have the same ones.
This
Right.
is one of the dice bags. It is a paper plastic material.
Yeah.
That is not a dice bag.
This
Yeah,
is
it is.
What?
it comes with two of
That
them.
bag kind of sucks, but let me tell you, for whatever reason, it's like indestructible.
It's like a piece. It's a paper plastic material.
Yeah, it's like Kyvek.
But that's how it's affordable. It's because of that crappy bag.
I'd rather just not come with bags and come with different art.
Yeah, I probably would have just them not even put bags in it. But I mean, you can't have a game that doesn't have a component that's needed to play the game in it. So.
Right, because you got to remember they're trying to get it out in Target and things like that. So I mean, when I take my kids, you know, if some mom wants to take their kids to just buy them something to let them just waste the afternoon, and she's got no bag, what's she gonna do? Use a Target bag?
Speaking of which, talking
No.
about a great delay to have as a publisher. You know, your game comes out, it sells out everywhere. Every single retail store, every single online store, the day of its release. And then people are calling Targets 24/7, calling their local game stores. Do you have it back in stock? Do you have it back in stock? Do you have it back in stock? As a publisher, I just look at that as that is a damn good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have, but they knew what kind of release they were going to have. They knew what kind of launch they were going to have. They should have put more stuff.
Oh, I agree.
Well, I ask you this though, Christopher. Do you think that there's a possibility that they've kind of not had a great track record in the last 6 months, or the last few games that they've got were just absolutely blasted? Because I mean, Warriors is decent. I like Warriors. I'm one of the few people that really does like Warriors. But then they put out the Lord of the Rings dice game, which got absolutely blasted.
Right.
The Nazgul game got blasted. A lot of their stuff lately has not been getting a good track record. You think they were just a little scared putting this out, or do you think there was enough buzz when people had heard about it?
Right now, Marvel is one of the hottest commodities you can have. Like the three hottest commodities are Star Wars, Marvel, anything, and Lord of the Rings. And when you're making a Marvel, and the industry, and I can tell you this definitively, the industry is hungry for good superhero stuff. You know, like it is. People will just back anything, I tell you. And so they should have had a better idea. They should have put stuff together more. They should have been ready for that sort of return. Because, like, honestly, just take pre-orders. Go to tell local gaming stores, yeah, we'll pick, let us know what you want in pre-orders, and you can do that kind of canvassing, and you'll get a good projection of how many you're going to need. Like, yes, they sold out super quickly, and that's great, but I guarantee they didn't print enough. I don't know what their numbers are. I don't have any sort of insight there.
They didn't.
But, well, I mean, right? They obviously didn't print enough. But
Yeah.
like, if they had, yeah, I mean, they either didn't print enough, or they printed enough and they're intentionally holding them back to create some sort of like scarcity. And because I've heard some buzz about that as a potential idea, and I think I hope that's not the case. And if that is the case, that's ridiculous.
If
So,
that is the case, then they suck a lot. They suck real bad. If that's the case,
But
you should not make your people suffer for your publicity. That's a terrible idea. That is terrible.
That's a board game conspiracy, and
Yeah.
I'll chalk that up to, you know, the Malaysian flight is on Mars right now because aliens abducted it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's whatever. I'm kind of excited the fact that when I like walk into my local comic store and I see a Gravity box, I'm like, look what they got! So I kind of like that, and it's going to be a little sad when it goes away. But, hey, it's fun while it lasts. But at any rate, before we completely sign off here, we're going to run down in opposite order things you want to plug or, drop a little a message bomb with. So, Stephanie and your cute cat.
This is Cashmere.
Should be a dog.
Yep. That's what I'm plugging my cats. Wait.
You're plugging Cashmere?
What?
You're plugging Cashmere?
That sounded terrible. Never mind. Scratch that. No, I don't have
folks.
Red Pants Games, totally coming soon. Are you a game designer? Has Christopher Bedell turned you down? Has Chris Kirkman turned you down? Great. Come to me. I will push your game. I will do it. And also, Christopher, I'm going to need to borrow Paul for a little bit.
You can take him from my cold dead fingers.
And your warehouse. And Adam.
Nice.
And
Dan.
you.
Yes, sir. Well, we had a great the last Geek All Stars this week. We had a So You Want to Do Videos podcast. We had Undead Viking on, we had Joel Eady on, and we had Chris Kirkman. We also had Roddy from Watch It Played. So it was, and I moderated. It was an amazing episode. It was a lot of fun, a lot of good information. If anybody out there is looking to get started in videos, we had a lot of good information on there. It's the episode 75 of the Geek All Stars. Check it out. And I can't wait to see everybody at Origins, where I can hang out with my good friend Darryl Lauder. And unfortunately, I don't get to see Christopher, but I get to see Lauder.
You had that is an all-star cast that you just had there on your show. Good Lord.
Well, it is the Geek All-Stars. It's only not an all-star cast when he has people like me on.
Hey, I've never been on it because I'm not an all-star. So.
Well, I gotta get Christopher return to my emails, and then I'll have you on there, buddy. We'll talk in After Dark.
Uh-oh.
Emails.
No, I'm just kidding. Christopher, you're welcome anytime, buddy.
Aw.
All right, so Bedell, what's coming up with you? And I have to ask the question for Keith Collins. Anything outside of Sentinels and the Galactic Strike Force universe you've been working on? Because we're getting tired of it.
Yep, it's awful. It's done, and you know what's even the worst part is that actually the way we set up certain crossover things, the Galactic Strike Force universe and the Sentinels of the multiverse are related. They cross over. They are the same overarching world. So it's all just one terrible thing. That said, when Keith was asking that question, I wrote this up and put it up. So Keith, this is for you.
You should mail that to him.
Yep.
Oh, now you can't mail it to him.
Oh!
So much for mailing it to him.
Bedell, breaking
No. Mail him those tore up pieces.
That would be worse. It's like mailing him a horse head. What? No, Keith knows I love him. But yeah, we have so many exciting things. And not all of them are superheroes.
Because I know one. Red Pants Games.
Mm-hmm.
If you're sick of that whole greater than games company, if you're looking for someone else.
Red Pants Games is gonna have to fight Orange Walls Games. It's in trouble.
And any other made-up games company.
Okay. Anything else you want? That's all. Just the Yup. You plug in the Yup.
We've got so many things coming up, and if you want more information on it, keep an eye on GreaterThanGames.com. We have a mailing list there, and I can't say any more than that.
Give us a tease.
Oh,
Okay, no. That's the tease I've got in me right now.
Okay.
a tease.
All right.
What about you, Daryl?
Dad, what do you have coming up?
Oh boy. Nothing. No, I have the compounded expansion coming out in Kickstarter late June.
I'm so excited about that.
It's the Geiger expansion, and it brings radioactivity into the lab. And
It's bad.
It's awesome. It's not like those expansions for games where you can just ignore it and the game plays the same. If you ignore this expansion, bad things will start to happening to you and your fellow lab mates. So it integrates very smoothly, and I'm very proud of it. The other thing is we are incredibly close to announcing the location for Unpub 5, including the dates, which have changed from Martin Luther King weekend. So if you requested that weekend off from work, say you want to work, you're going to change it, and you're going to wait until I say when to take off. Believe me,
I feel weird now.
it is definitely worth the wait. Stephanie, is it worth the wait?
It is so worth the wait. So worth the wait.
I asked Stephanie because she's the only other person that knows what's going on.
That's right.
She's the one planning it all. I'm just taking
emailing my contact right now.
God, he is so. I'm not going to say anything in case he watches.
If you want to have Daryl sign your compound and bring it to Origin.
Anywho, with that said, shortly after the Unpub 5 venue and date is announced, Unpub will be launching its very first Kickstarter. And this is to get funds for Unpub 5, as well as for the rest of 2014, because we had a lot of cons ask for Unpub to come, and we have zero money in the coffers from Unpub 4. So it'd be kind of nice to be able to go and be at cons and help other designers, much like we did with PAX East, without it coming out of my personal wallet. So,
Daryl personally funding it. Yes.
Exactly. That's it. That's coming up. Unpub News will return at some point in the future. I just got to figure out topics. And I'm talking longer than all of you guys, and I'm blaming it on the fact that I've had 3 11% beers.
So you've had you're 33% beer right now, basically. I think that's how the math works out.
He's the
Best
leg of
beer in the world, right there. It's #1 Belgian. Look at the world beer world. Candy Dominion. All right, so that's it. So that's gonna wrap up episode 6, season 2 of the BoardRoomers. So on behalf of Christopher, Dan, Stephanie, her cat, and myself, wish you all a very good night, and go the hell to sleep. It's late. Good night.
Yeah, what are you doing? Why are you watching us?
Thank you for joining